Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and I'm from Amanda Crochets, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this easy double down baby blanket. This baby blanket is approximately 30 inches wide by 31 inches long. However, you can always change up the sizing of this blanket to fit your needs, as well as change up the color of this blanket. So let's get started on today's tutorial making the double down baby blanket. For today's tutorial, you're going to need 5 skeins of the Premier Anti-Pilling Everyday DK. Each skein is 273 yards, 250 meters. It is a 3.5 ounce skein or 100 grams, and it is 100% anti-pilling acrylic. This is a number 3 lightweight yarn, and the recommended hook size is a US G6 or 4 millimeter. This is also machine wash warm, tumble dry low. And the color that I'm using today is Aqua. So you're going to need 5 skeins of Aqua or the color of your choice. This is my 5th skein, so you're not going to use too much of the 5th skein, maybe a third of it or so. But 5 skeins of Aqua or the color of your choice. And then you're also going to need a size H8 or 5 millimeter crochet hook for today's tutorial. So to get started, you're going to need to make a chain that is a multiple of 2. So for my baby blanket, I ended up making 110 chains. So as long as you have a multiple of 2 or any even number, you should be good to go for your blanket. I'm just going to be making a small sample swatch to help you understand the stitch. So I'm just going to be making a chain of 14. Again, for my baby blanket, I made a chain of 110. So to make a chain, that loop on your hook does not count. You're going to yarn over your hook and pull through that loop on your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue until you have a chain of 110 or your multiple of 2. Okay, so I have my 14 chains, and now we're going to begin row 1. For row 1, we're going to work a single crochet into the second chain from our hook, as well as in each chain across. So we're going to skip that loop on our hook. We're going to count 2 chains, 1 and 2, and in that second chain, you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that is your single crochet. Now if you are a beginner, I highly recommend getting a stitch marker and putting it into that very first stitch that you just made. We're going to continue making 1 single crochet in each chain across. So in that very next chain, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue making 1 single crochet in each of the chains across for row 1. Okay, so here's what your first row is going to look like. And again, if you're a beginner, you're going to put a stitch marker in the very first and the very last stitch of each row. So moving on to row 2, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and turn our work. Now in this pattern, the chain 3 is going to count as your first double crochet, so you're going to put your stitch marker in the top of that third chain that you just made. Okay, so we're going to find our next stitch, so we're going to skip this very first stitch right here, and in the second stitch, we're going to go ahead and make 2 double crochets. So yarn over your hook, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is your double crochet. We're going to make 1 more double crochet to that same stitch. So again, yarn over your hook, insert your hook into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is the double crochet. We're going to go ahead and skip the next stitch and in the stitch after that we're going to make 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So skip this next stitch, and in the stitch after that make 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Okay, so this is going to be the start of our repeat. So you're going to repeat this all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining. So you're going to skip that next stitch, and in the stitch after that you're going to make 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochets into the next stitch. Skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochets into that next stitch. Skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch after that make 2 double crochets. Okay, we have 1 stitch remaining, which is right here. In that very last stitch, go ahead and make 1 double crochet. Row 2 is now complete. For row 3, go ahead and chain 1 and turn. In that very first stitch, we're going to go ahead and make a single crochet. So skip that chain 1, and in that very first stitch, go ahead and make a single crochet. You're going to single crochet in each stitch across. So find the next stitch and make a single crochet, and again 1 single crochet in each of the stitches across. Okay, I'm over at the end of my row and I have 2 stitches remaining. When you get to your chain 3, you're going to skip that very last chain, so you have 3 chains. You're going to work your single crochet into the second chain of the turning chain. So count up 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to be going into that second chain and making our last single crochet stitch. So here's what 3 rows looks like. Moving on to row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and in that very first stitch we're going to make a half double crochet. So you're going to skip that chain 1, and in this very first stitch you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and that is your half double crochet. Next we're going to work 2 double crochets in between the next 2 double crochet group 2 rows below. So you're going to find your 2 double crochets right here, and you're going to go in between the double crochets so that way your V-stitches stack on top of one another. So yarn over your hook, you're going to find that middle single crochet stitch, which is right here, and you're going to go 2 rows below, so 1 and 2, and you're going to go right in between the space in between that double crochets, the 2 double crochets, and you're going to work a double crochet as normal. That's 1, and then you're going to go right back in that space and make another double crochet. So just like that. You're going to repeat this all the way across. So again, you're going to find the 2 double crochets from 2 rows below, and you're going to go in between that space in between the 2 double crochets. So right here you're going to make 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Find your next 2 double crochets and go right into the center space and make 2 double crochets. This is very similar to the double crochet V-stitch. The only difference is that we're going to be going 2 rows below instead of just going directly into the V-stitch from the row below. Find your next double crochets and go in between and make 2 double crochets. Find your next 2 double crochets and going in between, make 2 double crochets. Okay, so we have one more. You're going to go in between the 2 double crochets from 2 rows below. Okay, and in that very last single crochet, which is right here, we're going to make a half double crochet. So yarn over your hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So this is what your pattern is going to start to look like. So moving on to row 5, we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. In row 5, we're just going to make 1 single crochet in each of the stitches across. So in that very first stitch, make a single crochet and then continue making 1 single crochet in each of the stitches across. Okay, so here is what 5 rows of your pattern is going to look like. So to repeat this pattern for your blanket, you're going to repeat rows 4 and 5 for the pattern. So I will show you how to do row 4 one more time. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. In that very first stitch, make a half double crochet. And then working in between the 2 double crochets, 2 rows below, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So skip that first row and go in between the 2 double crochets and make 2 double crochets. Find your next 2 double crochets and go right in between and make 2 double crochets. And you're going to repeat that all the way across. So going in between the 2 double crochets, work 2 double crochets. And remember, we're not going into the single crochet, we're going into the row below where the double crochets are. So skip this row with the single crochets and go 2 rows below, 1 and 2, in between the 2 double crochets. You're going to repeat that all the way across until you have 1 single crochet remaining. So we have our last single crochet right here. You're going to make a half double crochet into that final stitch. Your next row is going to be a single crochet row. So again, you're just going to repeat rows 4 and 5 for the pattern. I'm going to go ahead and work a little bit more on my blanket, and then I will tell you how many rows I ended up making. But again, this is what your pattern is going to look like. So continue repeating rows 4 and 5 for the pattern, and I will show you how the blanket is turning out. Okay, so I'm over at the end of my blanket and I ended up working 127 rows. You can always make your blanket longer if you wish. So now that I'm at the end, I finished my last single crochet and I already cut my yarn. I left a little bit of a tail. So once you finish your last stitch, you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull that tail through and pull to tighten. Then to weave in your tail, you're going to get a tapestry needle. And you're just going to get your tail and you're going to go in between the stitches. And you just want to make sure you really hide your tail. So you want to go in a few different directions to really make sure that your tail is nice and secure. Okay, so now I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Okay, and then for good measure, I'm just going to go one more time in another direction, just to really make sure that my tail end is nice and secure. And you're going to do this for every tail end that you have for your blanket. Okay, and once you feel like your tail end is nice and secure, you're going to go ahead and get your scissors and you're going to cut close to the fabric and cut your tail end off. So again, this is what the finished blanket looks like. It does look the same on both sides of the blanket. And I just thought it was a really nice textured stitch. And again, if you really like making the double crochet V-stitches or just a V-stitch in general, you will really enjoy making this blanket, as it's a very similar style. So thank you so much for joining me today on learning how to make the double down baby blanket. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Please like, comment, and subscribe to see all future videos by me. And as always, happy crocheting! Bye!